fuck you doing?
Remember that name, Good Pizza, with 3 Z's, baby, 3 Z's.
What's up, guys? It's your boy JP, Good Pizza. This week we got a very special guest, the homie Rob, aka the ghost of Ember Valley, came through to tell his story. He talks about his come up in SoCal and how he migrated to NorCal and really got his foothold in the game, about all his trials and tribulations on his journey, all the new flavors they're coming out with, and the crazy health battle that he battled through. And now he's still here to tell his story. You guys are gonna love this one, man. Good Pizza, Ember Valley. Let's go. Thanks for coming through, Rob.
Of course, bro.
Good to see you, man.
Pleasure, bro. Pleasure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Long
big
time
fan.
coming,
Big
bro.
fan, bro.
Thanks,
Been
man.
like
I appreciate
watching
that,
the whole story since you interviewing moms and everything like that.
Oh, that means a lot, dude.
Yeah, bro. Really excited to finally get here, talk about my 2 favorite things in the world, pizza and weed, bro. You know?
That's why I had to have him on the show, guys.
You know?
I knew he was one of us. And coincidentally, Mom will be here on Monday.
Shout out,
She's
Mom,
coming
bro.
through, man.
Well, after
Thanks,
Mother's
bro.
Day thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Always
my
good to
son
check in.
Paulie's graduating high school, so fam's coming through for the celebrations. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing, bro. Congratulations on
Thanks,
that.
bro.
You made him get him past to that point. You know what I
Second kid I
mean?
got through high school.
There you go. That's a win. That's
You know?
2 wins right there.
2, bro. Yeah. Yeah. You got kids?
No kids, bro.
Still living the
No
dream.
kids. Yeah,
Good for
still
you,
living the
man.
dream. My sister has 2 beautiful nephews. One of them's 2,
cool.
one of them's 3 months.
Nice.
He might be 4 months now, but just amazing to watch these little boys grow up. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're a cool uncle, man.
Yeah, for sure. I got to be that cool uncle.
Do you want to have kids one day, or see what happens?
If you got to find the right girl before
That's so buddy.
you know, dive down that hole.
Yeah,
so
good call.
for sure.
Good call,
for
pal.
sure.
Yeah, for sure. So what's new, man? What's coming up, man? You going to Berlin?
Going to Berlin, dude.
nice,
Excited. Man. Last year I did Spanibus. I seen you out there with Spanibus. All the Cali boys out there getting it. I'm super pumped on that.
Bro.
Yeah, we're the real California's touching the world right now. You know what I mean in cannabis, and so amazing things happening with that. So I'm super excited. You know, Berlin was the next one.
Yeah,
I missed Spain this year, so I'm hitting Berlin. Gonna go see what that whole German. The funny thing is I took 3 years of German in high school, now I get to really test out what happens 20 plus years later if I still remember in a little bit of German.
You know, when I'm speaking another language being Italian, it's the only other one I really know. Man, I'm good until I start smoking, bro.
Yeah,
and then I'm just like doing mad translations in my head. I'm super delayed and shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh god.
You're like, you got to convert it over to English and then reconvert it back into.
I was definitely dealing with that because I met a lot of my Italian homies that I never met before.
Okay.
Like my Instagram Italian friends. And some of them don't speak any English. And then like I'd have one of my compas would be that he speak both. So whenever I get stuck, whenever we get stuck, he'd jump in. You know, so that's kind of cool. I usually have a little backup, but sometimes I don't.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And
I know. You get the Google Translator out
Bro,
trying to.
give me through this. Give me through this.
See.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's cool, man. You should get something back, man. It'll be fun, bro.
Yeah, my favorite thing is just go and find some international seeds, you know, find some new stuff that maybe is not so popular out here. Maybe they have some closer landrace stuff, just some new things, you know, that we don't get to see out here at all the different shows and stuff.
No doubt. And the German homies, man, they're holding it down with the QC, bro. Like, shout out to the homies I met at the Grove Bags Day Party. I forget what we called that, but you know, it was a group of Germans that y'all bought the rest of my good pizza while we were out there. Thank you, fellas.
Shout out.
Shout out to them. They were cool as fuck, man. Super gamed up on quality, man. My cugine Ginoba that lives out there now, man. Like, it was cool to see.
Yeah, it's
really
great to see with all the education and stuff going around, people learning from each other and like just seeing like the progression of where everything's at right now as far as quality, and the respect for quality is huge.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun out there. I mean, bro, everybody and their moms is like, no, bro. This year, Berlin's the move, bro.
Yeah.
Forget Spain. I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm locked in.
I feel like Spain was kind of the big deal this year. This was the last year they're doing it there in Barcelona. I was like,
Spain, dog.
Man. But, you know, I'm going to try to make a little trip out of it. Maybe go to Amsterdam or, you know, Brussels, somewhere else. You know, Switzerland, something. I always try to make like 1 or 2 city trip out of it. I can't just, you know, go there for one thing. You make that, you know, 16-hour flight or whatever it is. You got to make that shit worth it.
You might as well, man, because it's taxing, bro. When you get older, it is taxing. You ever been over there? Oh,
yes,
you
sir.
have.
Yes, sir.
You've been to Spain,
yeah. Spain. I studied in Rome for a little bit. Actually, I studied for like a month and a half in
that's
Rome
tight.
when I was going to UCLA, study abroad program. It
that must
changed my life. Smoking hash with the University of Rome professors.
No way.
While being on probation and them barely letting me go in the first place.
Oh, that is so lit, bro.
Yeah, dog. So that was a incredible experience as a young man. You know, Rome is a city that, you know, will ever hold a special place in my life. So I love Italy, dog.
Oh, Italy's a fine place.
It's not where I started loving pizza, but it definitely gave me a new respect because I went to Naples. I actually got real
Naples?
pizza. Yeah,
Beautiful,
bro.
Beautiful.
So it was a crazy
Mecca.
experience.
You paid homage to the Mecca.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tight, bro.
Went to some churches, seen some art, studied architecture.
What do you think about
history.
Naples? It's a wild city, right?
Woo!
That city has its own order, bro.
Bro, I'm telling you, if I wasn't with like 4 dudes and a couple of chicks, we were all together in a group, you know, and we traveled there from Rome together after we went to Capri.
Oh, Capri's beautiful.
Incredible, bro. Right? We're like, oh, we gotta, you know, see this whole thing, what it's about. I saw some real gangsters, bro. I'm talking like they were guards standing around them. They were having dinner at the night. The whole like restaurant was cleared out.
La Camorra.
For real.
Yeah, real Camorra.
And then I seen these like little hood kids trying to like steal pickpockets and stuff.
Camaristas.
Yeah. And you've seen like all sorts of wild stuff, you know?
Wild,
people pulling purses out of people's cars and stuff. You really had to like keep your wits about you in Naples, you know? That was a real deal.
That
was a real deal. So
yeah, good times.
Life experiences, though. I still never forget that stuff, you know?
Yeah, man. That's cool. You got to experience that, bro.
For sure. It was a blessing, for sure.
Yeah, my next trip out there is definitely going to be Italy, bro. I just went to Sicily last time I went.
Yeah.
Pay respects to our home villages.
And that's the real motherland for you right there, right?
Yeah, both. I'm Italian and Sicilian.
Okay.
And Napoli. I'm Napolitan. You know what I'm saying? So that's like where my family's from, too.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's like two wild places, man. Two wild, beautiful, just like dope scenes in Italy. You know
incredible. Yeah. I always think of like the Godfather movie, you know, you see when he goes back and like, you know, the beautiful
Corleone.
countryside and everything like that.
Yep.
And that's really how it is, you know, when you be driving out there, like it's
for sure.
It's still on some old school, like beautiful life type of stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
Corleone's a real place too.
Yeah, no kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a real place. So they have like the whole Godfather tour you could go on.
Yeah.
I've been to some of the places in the movie in Taormina. They had that's where Michael got married and the church got married. And I got a cool little picture of me by the church they got married in. It was dope. Yeah. So anyway,
you rolling up 4 different flavors right there. You got the whole.
I usually go 4. So I got some fugazi, I got some lemon straws, and I got this Dutch treat I got from the homie Woodwide.
Dutch treat.
From the homie Mikey Mendo. Yeah, bro. Check this shit out, bro. This shit fucking. This shit's gonna get
I'll be loving the old school, dog. I always have a respect for the old school.
Just take a look at that nug, bro. Just pop that thing out, man. Just the. Oof.
Yep.
Just
you can tell just by the structure, you know.
Just hand trimmed to perfection. I'm not even a fan of these terps, but it was so goddamn pretty. I had to do
But I bet you it's gonna translate though.
Yeah, for sure. That thing's screaming.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do some Dutch treat, and then I have this. Let's see, this is the WM3. I forget what WM means, but do some phenos from the homie Dallas Growers Club.
Okay. Yeah. I met him at a couple different shows before.
Solid dude, man. I'm telling you right now, he's got some shit, bro. He sent me like 4 different flavors, a lot of different phenos of each, and I've been finding some cool shit. He's got a dope fucking. It's a LCG Zushi OG cross. Fucking fire. And he's got this fucking King Louis times Watts, which is gelati times Z, I believe.
Yeah, from Canorado.
Canorado, yeah. Super gas, bro. I'm like, bro, this will blow a lot of the gases out of the water right now.
Sure.
Bro. So he's got some shit on the candy side and the gas side coming soon.
Awesome. The diversity, bro. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, dude. So I'm excited for him.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm rolling up, man. What you rolling up, kid?
So you gave me some Fugazi right here too. I got some testers that I'm gonna roll up too. Probably the Big Z from Wizard Trees.
Nice.
It's that Sangria Skittles. That one's burning crazy too. Like super loud Skittles. Like, and I've hunted a lot of Skittles stuff. So like to finally see Skittles actually a Skittles Plus is something that I haven't seen yet. Yeah. So I'm super pumped about that.
Did you get a cut from him?
No, this we hunted. So actually, I got these seeds. This is like a limited release Spanibus 2023, like $500 a pack type, John.
Whoa.
You know? So I went and snagged those. I snagged a couple other like real hot ones.
Yeah.
I got some Karma here.
Yeah, you did.
There was some stuff from the Terpogs and Sherbinsky collab. Like, so I try to like lock in on all those little collabs that were really popping.
Nice, dude.
And just dial it in with those, you know, get
nice.
those. Now, a year later, we finally hunted through the scenes. We're finally picking out some of the winter phenos.
Nice.
And, you know, about to get some of them into production.
What's your process with that, bro? Like, do you guys, like, how many seeds do you pop at once?
So it's been a developing learning process, right?
Sure.
So we started, you know, just a couple bag seeds here and there. Then we would pop like a couple hundred at a time.
Okay.
You know, this is in like 2020, 2021, after the pandemic, when things kind of chilled out and we needed to revamp the whole menu because everything wasn't just going like it was. You know what I mean? They were done with the ice cream cakes. They were done with the Cushmans. They were done with the wedding pies and Sunday drivers, you know? So we had to just kind of reinvigorate the menu, right? So boom, what better to do it? Let's start hunting some more and stuff, you know?
There you go.
So started doing that. Then we're like, oh, let's kick it up a notch. Let's go crazy. Let's do, you know, 1,500 seeds. Let's do 2,000 seeds at a time, which sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
You're going to do big chunks of certain ones. You're going to do, you know, 10, 15 of other ones. You're going to get a crazy variety and stuff. Unfortunately, when that happens, and you're not really prepared for it, you're going to get tags mixed up. You're going to lose cuts. You're going to lose trays. You're going to, you know, it gets out of control. Than just having the space to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's taking up a predominant area of the veg space. So it was just a learning process for sure.
doubt.
But everything with cannabis always a learning process. You know, if you're not learning, you're falling behind.
Yeah.
So we started popping a bunch of seeds. Now we have it dialed into more. We do like about 200 at a time.
Okay.
But we do them every like 3 months, right? So we'll do 200, 300, and then we'll wait 2 months, flower them out. Then as those ones are getting processed and we're going through them, you know, smoking them, looking at them, seeing which ones are the winners, then we go through and start popping the next round.
Okay.
So we already have like a little planned out what our next pop is going to be, how many seeds are going to go in, what kind of different stuff we're going to introduce.
Nice.
Sometimes we focus on one particular breeder, you know, and do like everything from one certain line. Sometimes we hit like one pack from 10 different breeders or 15 different breeders to just try and get the most diversity out there, right?
No
and
doubt.
just really, you know, because there's always something different. Everyone likes candy or everyone likes OG or everyone likes Z, but like there's like these finite types of strains that just hit people the right way. You know what I mean? And they really want to try something new, different. You know what it always is? Oh, you have this for so long. Oh, I want the next thing. I want the next new thing. Like, what else do you have?
Always.
You know, permanent marker is cool, but what's the next thing? You know, same with Blue Dream was cool. What's the next thing? It always goes through it. OG. You know, the only one that's outlived that, I guess, is Z right now. You know, kind of holding strong, still sticking in a bunch of stuff.
Z is definitely holding strong.
Same thing with sour. You know, they want the sour. But then they don't want the sour because we have like a real deal sour cut. I know everyone says it, whatever, right? I have this cut, the same cut we were running in Humboldt in like 2010, 2011, where you couldn't hold on to boxes of them. Boxes were just flying to sours. But we cut it down at 9 weeks. We don't let it go that full 11 weeks. So it's never going to really be what it was. You know what I mean? So
that's all right.
Yeah. That's
well, thank you for holding down the sour, sir.
Just holding down the Girl Scout cookie. We got some
cooks.
We're holding down Gelato 41. We got this whole line, Ember Valley, you know, where we still glow Blue Dream, Green Crack, Chem Dog, Train Wreck. We have a real GDP cut. Yeah.
Bro.
Chem was big in Redding for a long time. There was a lot of Chem growing up there. So yeah, they held down that cut solid, dude.
That's tight, dude.
So yeah, bring something back. You know, it doesn't have to be 35% THC and, you know, 8% terpenes or whatever their crazy things they're asking for right now. It's, you know, sometimes they just want that 27%, that 25% THC stuff that don't knock them on the ass. You know, not everyone wants the craziest new stuff. Some people are comfortable smoking Blue Dream and just chilling, you know?
It's literally the biggest sought after strain in the rec market.
For sure. I have a hard time believing those headset data, but, you know, I look at it too. And, you know, it's not just in California, world, you know, nationwide.
What's up, guys? It's your boy JP Good Pizza. Just taking a quick second to shout out my sponsors over at Grove Bags. Listen, it's an exclusive proprietary bag, and here's why we love them. Let's talk terpene preservation. This is the best environment for storing your cannabis. It keeps your cannabis at 58 to 62% humidity at all times. It's like your cannabis is living in San Diego year-round with the best weather. Terpene and flavor longevity. That's important. It inhibits microbial growth. No mold, cugine. Let's talk light protection. UV rays and good pizza don't mix. It also increases shelf life. Guys, if you have your flower in a dispensary, please use Grove Bags. We all know that stuff sits sometimes. This is gonna be your saving grace for flower that sits on that shelf longer than it should. Don't mess around with the pizza. Use promo code GOODPIZZA with TreeZ's. Tell them Good Pizza sent you. We'll see y'all back on the show. Yeah. The thing is, we think everybody's like us. Mm-hmm. Like straight fucking weed nerds, psychos. They're not, bro. They're not. They're just not, bro.
I consider myself like a weed historian. I love the history of strains and how the crosses came to be and the stories of all of them. I mean, that's why I loved your show so much, because you're, getting into all these stories and stuff like that, a lot of these stories are hidden, myself, I haven't told my story ever. I've made a point not to tell my story for a long time, That's kind of why they called me the ghost forever. I'll be in and out. My number would change about, 50 times in a year. No one could get a hold of me. Either I showed up and I'm there or I'm gone, or you get a random number, you better answer kind of shit.
Okay. I like it. I like your style.
For sure.
Well, shit, speaking of history, we should dive in, man. I didn't know you were from San Diego. That's where your story starts?
So I was born in L.A.
Okay, hit me.
I was born in L.A. in Downey, East L.A. My parents are both from Redondo Beach. They're high school sweethearts.
Oh, cool, man.
I grew up with an incredible family. I have one younger sister. She's amazing. She's actually a professor at Cal State Long Beach. She teaches special ed teachers.
Very cool.
About physical education and stuff like
That's
that.
Tight,
so
man. Hell yeah.
Just amazing people, amazing family. But my parents homeschooled us at first, right?
Okay.
Because they weren't comfortable with the LA public school system.
Okay.
So my dad had an opportunity with work. We ended up heading down to San Diego to a little town called Poway, which is like a little suburb of San Diego in North County.
Okay.
Which had like the best school system in the state, or one of them.
Nice.
So we ended up moving down to San Diego. My dad worked for UPS, so shout out to all the shippers out there who kept Pops driving. So he was driving the big feeder trucks for a long time. That was just a working class family. My mom was a teacher as well.
Right.
She taught special ed, and my dad was doing UPS. So grew up with a real close family. I was just the little wild redhead kid out there, causing a ruckus, getting in trouble, doing all that fun stuff.
Okay, what were you in, like sports, skateboarding?
Yeah, so I did the whole skateboarding thing for a while. I got into wrestling early, so I ended up wrestling for a majority of middle school and high school. I played some other sports, but my dad had a crazy knee injury from football, and he's like, you can't do football, you can't do any of this stuff. So ended up just sticking to wrestling, which was a great learning experience for me, bro. Just, it's you versus the other person. You got no excuses. It just taught me a lot of self-discipline and taught me a lot about life, being involved with wrestling.
Nice. Dude.
So yeah. Really enjoyed that.
So after high school, what happens? Wait, would you start smoking weed in high school?
I started smoking weed in high school. I got kicked off the wrestling team for smoking weed, unfortunately. I went to rehab in high school, bro.
Yo, they sent me to rehab for weed.
They sent me to rehab for weed, dog. School, bro. I was a sophomore in high school. They finally got me, dude. So that was a big bummer, which in rehab, all I learned to do was like hustle more and, figure out more about drugs and weed and all sorts of fun stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it kind of escalated it, to be honest with you. But yeah, I did that whole thing. We were smoking. I was smoking in middle school. We were, in San Diego, so we were border boys, right? So we had the seeds and stems and the bricks that we would razor down. I would throw some orange peels in there just to get to fluff up a little bit. You know what I mean? And then started finding out in San Diego they have some stupid fire, bro.
Oh yeah.
When I was growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
it's the era of super fire in San Diego. We got
Okay.
things like P91, Bull Rider.
I've heard of Bull Rider.
Yes.
Never had it though.
Oh, bro. I'm talking,
Legendary
stuff in San Diego was happening down there. Some baby's breath, some hog's breath.
Was fire.
Yes, bro.
Fire, bro.
So
Big fire.
I was blessed to grow up in a time where I had either the dirtiest of the cheapest dirt weed to smoke. If I couldn't afford nothing, bro, we're gonna get a quarter for $25 and we're gonna get it,
Goddamn right.
or spend up on the 360 or 360 a zip type of super fire, So I had a little bit of everything when I was growing up.
Right.
Really got into it, got in trouble, went to rehab, but I always found my way back to it. It was like, I was like ADD kid. So eventually they were telling me, oh, this is just your way of self-medicating. Woo, woo. They tried to throw me on Adderall and this and that and all that for sure.
Which is really bad for you.
It ain't good. It'll turn you into a monster. That's pretty much what I kind of think about it.
Yeah.
So glad that whole thing passed by me, right? But yeah, so after I ended up going to community college, right?
Okay.
Out of high school, I wasn't ready to like go into some state school and party and do all that. It just wasn't something that I wanted to do. So I was going to community college, working with special ed kids. And I was delivering pizza too during the night. So I was hustling, you know what I mean? I've always had a job since I was 14, squishing oil filters at the auto shop, whatever I had to do to make a couple bucks so that we could get some tree to blaze on, you know what I mean?
Go.
That was the thing. So I always had bread. And then I started throwing in with a couple of my boys and, next thing you know, we're buying a couple zips and we're buying a QP. We're starting to flip things.
Here it comes.
You know what I mean? It's like, here we go, bro. So things kept going. And this is like right when they started to do the whole legal thing, a couple people were like, oh, I got my script, this and that.
Nice.
I was like, oh, I don't need none of that. You know what I mean? I'm cool. Which I should have got, right? Because it was get out of jail free card. So why I got ADD? They're telling me you're trying to free me all these pills. Why not just tell the other doctor and boom, get it taken care of? But I didn't. So things like escalated a little bit. After high school, I moved out with the homies. We got a spot. We were just doing our thing,
right?
Being way too reckless. Throwing like multiple keggers on the weekend in some suburban neighborhood, just being
this is
cops
San Diego
getting called.
still?
Yeah. Cops getting called on us, doing all this shit. So they bust in the house during a party. They seen one plant growing. They seen a couple of this, woo, right? Little did I know that one of our neighbors was a retired canine police officer, right?
Boy.
So he'd be walking the dog all the time. He'd be making complaints on us, apparently, is what happened. Then all this other. Yeah. So I get back from visiting my sister in Texas. She's going to school out there at TCU. I come back. I'm getting ready to go to UCLA. All this time, like I was smoking weed, doing all that shit, doing tremendous in school.
Yeah.
I had got into a UCLA. I got into every school I applied to.
Nice, dude.
So I was doing very, very good at school. Something clicked when I went to community college. It just, everything, they weren't forcing me to do homework when I didn't need to. They're like, here's the stuff you need to know. Here's how you can learn it. Nice. Lectures, it was like story time.
It was better a learning setting for you.
Way better learning setting for me. So I really started thriving in community college and figuring out like, well, I can pretty much do whatever I want after this, right? So the plan was to go to law school, do all this stuff, right? I went to UCLA, I got accepted to UCLA. I went there. I was smoking there. I was the only one. It was kind of like not really my vibe. You know what I mean? It was a different vibe. But sorry, I'm jumping around. I got back from visiting my sister in Texas. This is 2 weeks before I'm supposed to go to UCLA. Okay. I come back. Next morning, I hear something going on at the front door. I look out. Boom. There's a line of the feds all lined up. They got the whole shields, ARs, everything coming in. I'm like, bro, come on. It's like 6 a.m, a little overcast. You know what I mean? So, boom. They've come through. I'm standing there naked, hands up.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Straight looking right down at a 9mm right in my face.
Damn,
like
bro.
all helmets, crazied up. I'm like, fuck. So they hem me up. I'm all naked. Like they let me throw some shorts on.
Yeah.
Sits me and all the homies down together. Starts, separating us off. One, okay, what's the little, like, hey, you can talk to my lawyer. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they sent me off to the side. Shout out to my homie, rest in peace, Dan. He was the one who like told the cops, hey, this is all my stuff. He tried to take the fall for everything. Unfortunately, they didn't buy the story and they charged us all anyways.
Motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dan, man.
Yeah, shout out to Dan. He was the real one. He kind of put me on in a real way for a long time.
Oh yeah, bro.
So, but yeah, unfortunately, he is no longer with us. But rest in peace. So, anyways, we go through the whole court system, right? I end up going to UCLA anyways, right? We bail out. We're waiting for trial. All this stuff, right? And I make this plea deal with them to where if I graduate UCLA, then they'll reduce all my felonies to a misdemeanor because they hit us with all sorts of stuff. They hit us with cultivation. They hit us with, possession for sales, possession, all these crazy, These fools even scraped off a ceiling tile from the top of the thing, said it was on the top of a dresser, scraped it up and said we had coke on us and stuff. We had to go get a separate guy to go run it through the system, a scientist to go run through.
Fuck?
I'm talking, bro, they did the most. They were like trying they were trying to like pin all sorts of stuff on us. So I went to UCLA, right?
Right.
And all this court stuff's going on. They sentence us. I ended up getting felony probation for 3 years and a whole bunch of work service stuff, right?
Oh yeah, community service and all that bullshit.
But they wouldn't let me do it in LA. So I'm living in LA on campus, right? Taking classes 3 days a week, driving 2 days a week down to San Diego.
Oh man.
So that I can freaking go and clean up trash on the side of the freeways and like take trash out of the big the dump, all sorts of
That's crazy.
the craziest stuff they make you do, clean up parks and this and that. But yeah, so I was doing that whole thing while going to UCLA. And that was an intense thing. Being on probation while going to college was not ideal, right? Because this was serious felony probation, right? Like I'm talking every night, I had to call in every single night. Call in to see if I had to go in and test the next day.
I know what you're talking about.
So they have like little code words. Okay, 49er 23, you have to come in. Eagle 24, you have to come in. All Chargers.
Yep.
He would have this whole little program you'd call in every night at like 7 o'clock just so you don't have enough fun. And then
just you don't have enough fun.
Yeah. Because like I was like no smoking, no drinking, no nothing, right?
Yep.
So. And then one of the first times I go in for the piss test, right? There's a bunch of us on the wall. The homie's like watching you do it, right? I'm like, oh, this is hella weird, bro. Yeah. So he caught this one dude with one of them fake Whizzinator things, right?
Yeah.
So then he made everyone go drop trowel all the way, underwear to the ground, all sorts of crazy shit, right? And so like I'm like there with some like 40-year-old dude, which is whack because I'm 40 right now, so it sounds weird, you know what I mean? But whatever, some 40-year-old dude watching me take a piss, and like everyone giving us all a hard time, like. They almost violated me one time because I missed it. We had like a T.I. concert and I thought I had called in, but I guess I didn't.
Oh, shit.
And like, he's like, well, I'm about to violate you, bro. I'm like, I've never done anything wrong, Like, I've been an upstanding person. Like, please don't like violate me. He's like, straight to jail. I'm like, for what, bro? Like, because I didn't come in, like, I'm sorry. Test me right away,
Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah, it was just hectic going to school.
That's a lot, bro.
Dealing with all this probation shit. But moral of the story at the end of it, I did it. You know what I mean? I graduated from UCLA with honors. I got my shit finally after I completed probation, reduced to a misdemeanor.
Nice.
So, but it didn't really matter because when I graduated in 2008 from UCLA, the economy was shit. I was a convicted felon at the time, so I was getting no jobs. You know what I mean? My uncle had told me, he's like, hey, because I had this whole plan. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm gonna do all this.
Shit.
Yeah. I took the LSAT. I was already planning for everything. And my uncle, who owns a big firm in Reno, was like, listen, I'm going to pay you $45,000 a year once you graduate. You're about to go into $300,000, $400,000 in debt to get this degree and come out to who knows. He's like, what you need to do is find a business that you're passionate about and really dig into that.
Yeah.
So then I said, okay, well, what am I passionate about? You know what I mean? Kind of fell back on the old trusty green.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out to Unc, man, for planting that seed.
Putting me on game, you know? So I could be miserable, divorced lawyer, alcoholic, you know, still in a couple $100,000 of debt, you know?
Well, you know, you talk to some of your lawyer friends, people that went that route, and they're fucking miserable, bro.
That's why I said and I enjoy my life, bro. The best part of my life is like waking up every day and doing something I love. It's not work. This is just my life.
Yeah.
You know?
Same.
Whereas like I don't feel that it would have been the same if I would have gone to work for some big firm or maybe started my own practice, but still been, you know, having to do what everyone else wanted me to do rather than like, you know, chase my passion and what I want to do. So
no, that's dope, bro.
Yeah. So that's kind of a little breakdown right
Shout out to Unc, man. So okay. So
there's some gaps, I'm sure, but
no, the gaps are fine, man. That was a good flow into how you got into growing cannabis. So you just decided one day I'm going to grow weed, or like where'd you go after college?
So that's a great part of the story.
You came up north, right?
Yeah.
From what I remember reading about you.
So even in high school and stuff, we were taking those mech plants, like we call it mexi, like the brick packs.
Yeah.
And we would like pop the seeds, right? We would take the seeds out of it. We'd put them, fold them up, put them in paper towels, wet paper towels, in plastic bags, and try to get them to sprout. And then they would sprout, and we'd be like, "Oh shit, what do we do with it, dude?" You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, I was always playing with it early on.
Okay.
And I'd lived in a spot in L.A. There was another part of the story in San Diego for a while with Dan, where we had ended up getting a warehouse together. This is like 2 years after I graduated. And we got a little warehouse, which behind my back, this fool broke into it. I had the spot next door. He had the spot next door. He's like, it's already built out and great. He like ended up staging a robbery, and the cops got called and then blew up the whole spot. The whole thing got ruined. This is like right after first harvest, bro. Yeah. During first harvest. So he was trying to lick the whole spot. Dan wasn't a great guy. Okay. And I've learned a lot from being around like not great people as well. Sometimes you even learn more about that than you do from, you know, the better people, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a
you
fact,
learn from their
brother.
mistakes, you know? So watch that whole thing go down. That was pretty disgusting. And then I got with a couple other partners. I was moving work with this one guy, and he's like, bro, we need to go up to Humboldt. I had been going up to Humboldt since, 2006. I knew an old man. He had the OG. So I was crushing packs in San Diego of OG. There'd be people coming down from LA to pick my stuff up from SD. So it would be go from Humboldt down to San Diego and then back up to LA. You know what I mean? But yeah, I knew the aura, and this is like green rush. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, oh, we got to go to Humboldt. We got to go to Humboldt. So, or the Emerald Triangle, whatever. For me, it was always Humboldt. That's like the real heart of it, right? But we found this spot on Craigslist for like 15 bands, right? Okay. And there was this old lady, and she's like, rent my spot for a year kind of thing. Like me and my homie were like, it's a little risky, dog, but we just got to do it, you know? And so it ended up being like a piece of this commune, a 1/13th piece of this like 140 acre commune, right? So there's 13 other different like hippie like houses on it, or homesteads, right? But the one we got was like built by like 8 different hippie dudes. So, you know what I mean? On some stilts, kind of standing there. Yeah. But Humboldt winters are rough, you know what I mean? So it's not easy on construction. No shit. So overgrown hills, all this stuff. So we go out there, we're taking, rototillers, cleaning everything up, making flats with bulldozers and stuff. We do the Humboldt thing, you know what I mean? Throw up those PVCs, some big beds, some PVCs, and start pulling tarp, So we did that for 2-3 years, while I was there. Got into like the big broker scene in Humboldt where everyone's trying to be the broker of the year. You connect all the dots. It's easy when you're there. You just go from one neighbor to the other neighbor. Hey, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got? And by the time you have like a full menu for people to shop with, you know what I mean? Yep. And I'm out there every day doing hunting. So I got people hitting me up. Hey, what are you finding? What are you seeing? You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I got sours. Oh yeah, there's hella OGs out here, like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So started running that whole thing. And that was like insane time of my life living in southern Humboldt, like an hour outside of Garberville, so you're driving 30 minutes down a dirt road to drive 30 minutes just to town, small town Garberville. And then you have to drive an hour up to, Arcata, Eureka to even go to like Walmart or Costco or anything crazy like that. So it was a crazy different kind of lifestyle than I've been used to growing up in San Diego or living in LA, so it was a crazy experience. But gingers, we just kind of blend in. You know what I mean? We have to we're chameleons. Like we're always the ones that are singled out anyways. So I just chameleon my way in there, met hella good people, learned from some incredible old school family growers. And helped out a lot of families while I was up there too. It was an amazing experience.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Then that leads us up into like 2016-ish, right? When there was that first little dip in the market. And maybe it was a little earlier than that, but depths started going for lower because, when we were up there, we were selling depths for almost 2 bands, you know what I mean? So, and they were the fakers, we'd call them the trap door because you'd be selling them ins all year and then you'd open the trap door with a bunch of depths and boom, you just sell them at the same price as ins. So we hit them with the trap door a couple times, and but I realized that you needed more indoor, right? I knew the market was moving towards higher quality. I needed more indoor. The outdoor thing wasn't really going to do it. Even depths were cool, but I needed more consistency and more indoor. And when you're shopping for indoor in Humboldt, it's a lot of like smaller garages. No one person's ever going to have like a variety pack. You got to go hunt the packs out and stuff, right?
Sure.
Then I kind of went over and found a spot in Oakland with some boys, and we were going to blow the Oakland warehouse up. It was like all covered with scripts and all that whole thing, right? We're working with different clubs in San Diego and stuff for $215, rolling around with binders full of 100 scripts or whatever, doing our 99 plants, that whole thing. So after we had that first spot that worked out, we ended up, rent to own or buying the property, and then getting a couple of neighbors that were like, hey, you guys are selling everything. Why don't you just help us tell us what to grow, help us, do all the work, get some people. And we ended up doing that with a bunch of people. So we had a couple little spots starting to go, right?
Nice.
After all that kind of winds down, the price starts to dry up. I'm like, okay, I got to figure out the next play other than Humboldt, because during the green rush in Humboldt, it was a thriving town, bro. Like everyone had money. Bro. If the chainsaw is broken, don't worry about it, bro. Just go grab a new one in town. You know what I mean? Like people were coming up, spending, sending all sorts of stuff out on the road. Like it was just going crazy. It was the heyday, everyone was just growing whatever they wanted to. Policing wasn't anything because everyone was covered by the scripts and stuff.
Yep.
So as long as you weren't going too crazy, then it was cool. I still remember selling my first box up on Alder Point Road, which was all sours.
Ooh, on Alder Point, huh?
Crazy situation. So we get all these packs, right? Finally, we went down to the Best Western in town. Everyone knew the Best Western in Garberville was the hot spot. You could just stay there, meet like 4 or 5 buyers that night.
Yep.
Especially in the summer, it was cracking. We met these fools from New York. Woo, I want the sour. Perfect. I know the guy. He has all sours. He's like, brought him the sample. Yeah, I want, how many of them are there? 112. Cool, I'll take them all. I'm like, whew, first box, here we go, You meet this fool on the side of the road. Dude doesn't want him to come to the property. He is kind of like sketched out. He's got his little minivan with the old Asian dude smoking a Marlboro Red 100. You know what I mean? Like, here we go. And she's like, okay, let me start going through them. Well, they all have Bovita packs in them, right?
Okay.
He's like, nah, bro, this ain't gonna work. Like, what?
Why?
He's like, my people don't know about these Bovitas. I don't like them, bro. You got to take them all out. So here we are on the side of the road, right?
Plucking Bovitas.
Pucking 112 Bovitas. I'm talking twisting, tying, twisting, put them in, then trash bag, then moving.
Get the system going.
Oh my God. Sketch. But like, just like made me earn that first box. You know what I mean? I was like,
was cool?
went through,
Money was good?
down, cashed out. Everyone was happy. Farmer was happy. Don't ever put the Bovitas in there again type of shit. You know what I mean? Joking about it, laughing about it. But it was incredible, bro. Yeah, it was an incredible experience. But that's what Southern Humboldt was all about.
Yeah.
You know, that was the cowboy days. Like we were really on some fun shit, you know? Like
You went through a box on the side of the road, bro.
straight up on the side of the road.
That probably took you a half hour to do.
Oh yeah.
And then count the bread.
Yes.
You were posted,
Bro.
my boy.
It was not chill, but it ended up being chill, you know? So it's like people are driving by, they know exactly what's going on, you know, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of like the Humboldt experience. Then moving over to Oakland, I started moving packs out of there, more indoor. We built the spot, then wanted to expand, built this whole new thing. Trusted these guys that, you know, oh, we're going to build this, that, and that. Like, this is the new spaceship, trying to reinvent the wheel pretty much. Like, we should have just stuck to what we were doing and, like, ended up just losing money. So I'm like, okay, I got to go source more work. You know, I can't trust these guys. So went up to Redding, figured out that Redding ended up being, like, the mecca for indoor because these fools were up there blowing it up and they had fire, too.
Yep.
Because they were all using mills. Everyone was bought into the mills thing. They were just growing some fire stuff. You know, GG4s, Wi-Fi's. Then shortly after that came the Zukis. The Zukis went crazy. That was like my first like batch of like exotics. That's what I thought was exotic, you know, because it was like a cookie, but had Gorilla Glue in it. But
Zooks
like
are crazy.
it really was colored and super triked out. It was the Zukis went so crazy. I had hella seeded packs of Zuki, and people didn't even care about the seeds.
No shit.
Oh yeah, they were like, all right, we'll do it a point less. Like, I'm like praying that I could sell this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Zukis were going crazy. If you weren't hitting it with a switch, she was flipping on you real quick.
No shit.
So ended up finding the plug, my brother, my boy Ryan, right? The zombie. He I went through a couple guys, finally found this guy wasn't gonna show up. Oh, I need you to just meet up with my boy. Woo woo. I was like, cool, yeah, all good. Let me just work up that ladder. You know what I mean? And I walk into the homie's house and there's like 10 full trash bags right next to the front door of like all different things. I'm like,
let's go.
I'm like, it's him. Like he's the one, you know? He's like, yeah, we started talking. He's like, you know, I'm a little bit more reasonable, this and that. I was like, hey bro, I only brought up X amount of bread. Like I don't have enough for everything right now. Let me come back tomorrow and I'll cash you out on everything. So boom, I took the first load, went down to LA, started rerouting. Boom. Next day I was back. He's like, oh shit, you weren't playing. I'm like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, how many times they heard that?
Yeah, I was like, absolutely not, dog. Like I'm glad you held them for me because this is how it's going to be. And then after that, I was like, let's set up a schedule. Tell me your schedule. I need to know when your harvests are going. I'm just going to start moving all your shit. He's like, fuck. All right. Kind of make it a little easy for me. You know what I mean? So that relationship turned into like the best thing that ever happened to me, right?
Nice.
Brian, my brother, the fucking other owner in Ember Valley.
Oh, shit. Okay.
He is like, he's the most important thing to me, you know? Because we built that relationship. And then it was like, he felt a little bit more comfortable starting to grow his scale because I was making it so easy for him. He's like, okay, let's go. Let's get to work, you know? Then we come around 2016, 2017. They're like, oh, we're about to do this whole recreational thing. And he's like, what do you think? So we sat down with me, one of my other roommates at the time, who turned out to be our first CEO, Ryan. And we talked about it, like, what's the deal? Like, we went out on the lake together. We got hammered. Like, it was wild. You know, we tried to get the whole Redding feel. And And he's like, yeah, bro, I'm going to jump on this. I was like, bro, I think you should. Let's get into it. So we jumped on the 4th license in the state in Shasta Lake. We were the 4th license. And, you know, we built 1 room, harvested that. I think we built 2 rooms off the rip, right? In our first facility. Built 2 rooms and then harvested that and then built 2 more rooms. Then harvested all those and built another 4 rooms. So like we built the facility out as we were growing right there. Yeah, still 100% self-funded. We never took any money from anyone.
Good for you guys,
ever,
man.
For any reason. But yeah, so like we've been calling our own shots ever since.
Good, man.
And you know, Ember Valley caught like a pretty solid wave right off the rip. You know, I remember the first haul of flowers. We were like one of the only ones out there with like jars of flour and shit.
I remember.
And we started ripping, dude. Sales were going crazy. That's when all the retailers were paying their bills. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we were in like 300-400 shops right off the rip.
Solid.
And you know, Ember Valley started being like a real solid thing on the rec market.
And this was about 2018, you said? When
2018, yeah.
And what
I think
was
we were started in 17, but 18 is when it really started to like, you know, build.
Who came up with the name Ember Valley? Was it
my boy Zombie? Just because, you know, in Redding, we're very close to a lot of fires out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the tip of the valley right there. Like that's where all the fires, like we almost burnt down our facility with the car fire in 2019. So we almost lost it. We had generators being driven in from Oregon. We had to break fire lines to get around to feed the plants. Like the walls were like sweating from all the moisture. It was crazy. Like, yeah, our company almost went under. You know what I mean? Like we almost lost our company to the fire. So, but the name Ember Valley came around because, you know, you can't start a fire without ember. So this is the start of that fire. You know what I mean? That's where Ember Valley really came from.
Solid.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, for sure.
I love a good origin story.
Yeah, that's it, dude. At first, I was like, oh, I don't know, dog. But it just grew on me quick, and I was like, run with it, you know?
Yeah.
We're flirting with some other names at the time, but I don't even remember what
That's
they were.
solid,
They're
dude.
just,
No,
you know,
solid.
Yeah.
Nice, man. So you guys are cranking. It's 2018. Ember Valley's in the rec market, off to a good start. How does it flow through, like, you know, 2020, 2021, where shit got weird? It went way up and then way down.
For sure.
How'd you guys weather that storm?
Like, there was a meteoric rise, you know, during the pandemic. Like, we were crushing these ice cream cakes. We got the ice cream cake from Seed Junkie early on.
Okay.
We were smashing numbers with it. Like, that's how we built our second facility, was off of the ice cream cake. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
We done blew out the cakes. The cakes are like the new blue dream at the time because nobody wanted them no more. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
So after that all slowed down after the pandemic and everything, we kind of really we really had to like revamp the menu, you know, like things chilled out. Everything was kind of like a little bit bland at that point. I was still like getting cuts from different friends and stuff, but we were so big and they saw what we did with the ice cream cake. Nobody really wanted to give us any of the real heater cuts, you know, because they knew we were going to blow it out.
Yeah.
So, which we were. But so we ended up starting to, you know, hunt through a bunch of seeds, going through a bunch of different, like, you know, learning processes of like, oh, we did too much of one strain, right? And we found 3 winners, but we can only have 1 winner, right? So we got to figure out how to dial that process in. So then, you know, just over time, it's about, you know, building that menu, diversifying that menu, opening it up for all the different kind of terps and stuff, even stuff that I might not like or I don't like. There are a lot of people that do like it. You know, I'm not a big Jack guy. There's some people that I like to smoke Jack every day. They're crazy, but you know what I mean? But yeah, so like just, you know, opening it up and offering the widest variety, including like our old school stuff, right? So bringing the most newest of the new stuff that I just got last year at Cannabis, but also having Girl Scout cookies, Gelato 41, Blue Dream, Gorilla Glue, GDP, Green Crack, Sour D, having all these classics, you know, around to just give a variety and, you know, show like the depth of our menu, because these are all like strains that I've kept around for all these years, you know, a lot of them, and, you know, been sourcing genetics for a long time. You know, I fell in love with the plant and just kind of learned a lot about it on the way, and just, you know, you start holding on to things, and the library, it gets crazy sometimes, with all the stuff that we have holding at any given time. Like we have over 100 different strains that we have alive at, either of our facilities. We're running about 30 to 40 different strains flowering at a time.
Wow.
So that's one thing that Ember Valley does really good is balance.
Good rotation.
Yeah.
How many rooms, how many lights in the rooms?
So our first facility that we built was 11 rooms, about an average of 76 lights a room. There's two sides of the hallway, so they're different on one side and different on the other. And then our second facility is 14 flowering rooms, and that's real similar. It's a bit smaller rooms, so it's like a 60, 64, 65 lights a room. And then we have some monsters at the end of the hallway that are like 115 lights, So we have all sorts of different rooms and different tables and layouts. Makes it real fun for planning strains out and stuff.
Yeah. That's solid, man. And good shit on keeping all those strains in your library. That's impressive, bro.
For sure.
100 on rotation. That's crazy. And hunting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Respect,
always
bro.
hunting.
How many lights do you guys dedicate for hunts?
So usually it's like we start out being like half a room. So it's like 30 lights. We'll R&D like 30 lights at a time. And we'll always be throwing in like if we source a cut somewhere, we're always trying to integrate new stuff into. Like I love weed. So if I'm trying to find as much different profiles as I can, go with some popular stuff, go with some not popular stuff, just see where it leads us.
No doubt. That's tight, bro. Where in all this did you you ran into some health problems during this journey, man? Tell me a little bit about that and what you did to overcome, bro. So you had a close call, my friend.
Yeah. So when I was 19, I was diagnosed with lupus, right? Which is an autoimmune disorder where my body attacks itself. I started just getting like my wrists would being sore, my ankle would be sore, my elbow would start to flare up, and I didn't know what was going on. My doctor's like, "Oh, just take some Tylenol, take some Advil, you'll be fine," But that ended up happening for a few months. So they're like, something's going on. We got to go to the doctors. I went and saw a rheumatologist, the UCSD. Dialed me in on a whole bunch of medication, diagnosed me with all this stuff. Started living a cleaner lifestyle, and it went into remission for about 14 years. Stopped taking medication, all that stuff. I thought that it was like the weed. You know what I mean? I thought that I was like trying so many different cannabinoids because I was using it as a medication to, alleviate a lot of the inflammation. Sure. I was using topicals, all that stuff, CBD. I was actually, when I was living in Humboldt, I was growing CBD, just a couple personal plants for myself. Harlequin, Tsunami. Yeah. I was linked up with some amazing people in Humboldt that had those high CBD genetics early on. So I was like really medicinally into it.
That's cool.
And yeah, so it went away for a little while, and then right around Spannabis 2023, started flaring its evil head again, and I started hurting all the time. I tried to ignore it, just taking a bunch of Aleve and pills, and I can get past it. All this, and things were looking pretty rough. I finally, was in so much pain that I had to go to the emergency room. And I, started taking all these tests and all this stuff. In Redding, they're like, yeah, we don't know what to do about this kind of thing here. We don't have the doctors. Because Redding's a great town. Don't get me wrong. I love Redding, right? Sure. It's in between Humboldt and like a Sac. It's an in-between city. Doubt. They got everything you want. You don't have to drive too far. But also, you can drive 30 minutes in any direction, and it's the most beautiful area in the world. There's national parks right next to us. You can drive to the Redwoods or the coast. Like, there's Mount Shasta there. Yeah. You can go snowboarding straight. Yeah, we can get into Mount Shasta and the Lumerians and all that. Oh, yeah, they got some wildness going on up there for sure. Energy is strong up there.
Whoa.
But yeah, so I go back down to my rheumatologist specialist at UC San Diego and say, hey, let's start working on a program. They start taking me to do all these tests. It started attacking my kidney. So a lot of things start going from bad to worse.
Damn, bro.
And my kidney was getting close to failure. They were talking about a kidney transplant with my sister. She had just had her kid, and she's like, I'll give you one of my kidneys. It was like one of the most heart-wrenching conversations I've ever had with my little sister, having her be like, I'll give you my kidney because we're the same blood type and everything.
Sure.
It went all the way down that, right?
That's
I was
crazy.
talking about getting on dialysis, all this stuff, right? So I started looking into this other stuff. Meanwhile, I had some knee issues and shoulder issues. I started looking into like stem cell therapy in Tijuana, right?
Okay.
This place called CPI, Cellular Performance Institute. Like Joe Rogan talks about it. It's big in the UFC and everything right now. So I'm like, I do a lot of hiking, right? That's my favorite thing to do is hike.
Okay.
So I do some work on my knees,
Sure.
So I'm like, I need to get longevity, go to these national parks, do all these 10, 15 mile hikes. Like I should do good to stem cells, and my shoulders messed up from lifting, my knee from wrestling, all sorts of stuff, right? I'm just getting old.
Yeah.
So I start talking to them about going down there and doing stem cells in my knee and shoulder. And I told them, I'm on this medication. They're like, for what? I was like, autoimmune. I have lupus, this and that. They're like, okay. Well, we have a whole autoimmune program too.
Whoa.
I was like, really? So they start to give me more information on it. I start doing my own research. Apparently there's all these studies in China that it's actually super, super positive results are happening from this mesenchymal stem cells, this particular umbilical stem cell, that for my particular disease, lupus and lupus nephritis, which is attacking the kidney, that there's some real positive motion. So I'm like, I talked to my doctor in San Diego. She's like, that this could actually make it worse and this and that. It's not FDA approved, all this stuff. But I was already like in the mentality of like, I know that this is like healing, right? Like, I think I just have to take the leap of faith and do it. Like, I don't want to go down this line of taking more and more medication. They wanted me to like start shooting things into my leg, all these other immunosuppressants. Like they were really trying to like get me full blown into the system, And after probation, I already been in that system. I don't want to be in the medical system now.
Dude.
I'm already knowing the recipe. Once you're in, it's hard to get out.
Yeah.
So I go down to Tijuana for 2 weeks. I do this whole immune retreat kind of thing where they're doing chelations. They're stripping my body of heavy metals. I'm doing these like different fasts. I'm doing a strict anti-inflammatory diet. I'm doing NAD plus every day. They're really like tuning you up. And then they hit me with 200 million stem cells through the IV. And like, I was really sketched out because they're like, hey, the one thing you can't do is smoke weed. I'm like, fuck, Like I've been smoking for 20 something years. They're like, the thing is, if you smoke, the inflammation happens in your lungs and all the stem cells from your body will go to repair your lungs. First of all, if you want to give yourself the best chance of healing, you need to lay off the weed and let it actually heal your kidney, heal the other parts in your body.
Yeah.
So I made it like 2.5 months, you know what I mean? But I knew I was coming on to Good Pizza. I had to, I knew that we were in pheno hunting mode. I can't, as much as I trust, I have such amazing people around me.
Yeah.
I got to put lungs on it.
Well, how long were you supposed to be off the tree?
3 months.
And you did 2.5?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
You know what I mean? So
we're rounding down.
Like, I'm like, I have to, bro. I have to put lungs. I can't put something in a jar and be like, this is Ember Valley without putting lungs on it. Like, that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's not
called Good Pizza until it goes through the final pizza box.
You know what I mean? So the QC is the most
that's a real
important
company that you want to support. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, bro. Yeah. Even every batch, right? I don't personally put lungs on every batch that comes out, but we have a QC crew that goes through, and before it gets released to go down to Helios to get packaged up and everything, we gotta fucking make sure that it smokes, right? Good, break down an ounce, see everything, make sure it's smoking.
Cool.
And yeah, so every batch of Ember Valley is QC'd for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I went to stem cells, got back a week later. I was in like this amazing healing place of mind. I'm doing like oxygen therapy. I'm still doing NAD. I go back to my doctors and tell them, hey, I ended up doing this thing anyways. They're like, oh, we're going to switch you to this other group of doctors and this and that. I'm like, okay, whatever, you know? So they released me to this other dude who's like I didn't know, he's like the wizard of lupus, right?
Okay.
And sure enough, he's like, they put me in this thing with nephrologist, right, which is the kidney person, and rheumatologist, which is the guy for the autoimmune stuff. And they're like, yeah, we just got your tests back and things are looking incredible right now. We're actually going to like lower your medication instead of like raising it like they wanted to right before I went. We're going to talk about weaning you off over the next 2 years and this and that. So I'm like goosebumps. My mom actually came with me to the doctor's appointment, you know, because she was tripping about the whole Tijuana thing anyways. Like,
sure.
Even though my family's all living in San Diego, so it's like I was thinking about going to Panama or Colombia for the stem cells, but I'm like, no, I'm going to TJ, you know. I grew up in San Diego. You know, when we were young, we would go to TJ and do whatever, you know what I mean? Party, drink when we were 16, get all in trouble. You know, that was before it got crazy or whatever. But so it was a fun time. But my mom got like goosebumps in the room, like started like tearing up, like, you know, like it's different when you're talking about getting a kidney transplant and, you know, possibly dying or something like that. Versus like, it's like reversed. You're healing, you're getting better. We're going to take you off medication. Like, you know, I was like, oh my God. I just want to like share that with the world. So you know, I was sharing it on IG. Hell, people were hitting me up. Oh, what's really going on? And lupus was something that I didn't really like ever feel comfortable about talking. I didn't really talk about any parts of my life. I didn't talk about me being involved in weed for a long time. You know, I didn't talk about lupus forever. I thought it kind of made me look weak or whatever, you know, but it's something that I can't control and that, you know, I just had to deal with. And just, you know, let everyone know that, you know, it was actually relieving when I told people and they knew like, oh, this is what was going on. No wonder you were like down and out for like that amount of time, you know? And I did. I took my eyes off the prize. It was tough being in like pain, a lot of pain. And like, you know, then with the kidney and everything, it like knocks you out. So like, you know, I'm like super sleepy and, you know, doing all this and it was a tough time in my life, you know, it was a tough time, but like now I feel like I got a second lease on life. You know what I mean? So
that's a beautiful thing, bro.
I'm
blessed,
not wasting this time anymore. And I'm like super focused, more focused on Ember Valley than I ever have been before. Man. And really like building this thing in my brother's vision and really like making it be what we wanted to. Cause he went through a crazy divorce with his high school sweetheart and she left him with his 2-year-old and 4-year-old daughter, 100% custody.
Whoa.
Full grown man, 100% custody.
Whoa.
While running multiple businesses, 2 and 4, those are formative years,
those
dog.
Are super formative.
And 2 little girls, like that ain't easy, bro.
Yeah, they're gonna have to deal with that later.
Him and I both had our own, you know, issues that we're dealing with, right? Big time. So Ember Valley, I'm not going to say it slipped, but there was definitely a hiccup in the thing. Yeah. Much less we went through, you know, changing different nutrients and trying this and trying out. Some things worked, some things didn't, you know, and really now we're at the point where we're finally like stabilizing the company again and like really ramping things up.
Good shit, man.
So it's exciting to see what we're doing right now.
Congrats, man.
And I'm really pumped about what Ember Valley's got for the future, for sure.
Me too, man. Because I'll tell you what, I speak for myself and damn near everybody else. Everybody loves a good comeback story.
Amen, bro.
And that was
amen.
You know, shout out to you, dog.
Thank
and
you,
your
bro.
partner for you know getting through the darkness and you getting your health back on track.
For sure.
You can't put a price tag on that.
Amen, bro. No, seriously.
Blessing, bro.
And you can't. You know, this is a real passion for both of us. You know, like this is like our whole lives. You know, like I said, this is not investor money we're playing with. You know, every dollar for everything Ember Valley we've ever done, every event we've ever done, every salesperson we've paid, every trimmer we've paid, like that's all on us, you know? So we've like kept that thing going the whole time. And it's not an easy nut to crack when you got, you know, 2,000 light facilities. Like
my employees
people want to give,
you.
You got to pay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Regardless if the sales are there or not, like you got to pay. So luckily, like things are just going incredible right now. So
good. Yeah. Hell yeah, man. What's on the horizon for you guys, man? What's the next 5 years look like, big dog?
The next 5 years, like we've always had this this idea of focusing on California, right? Like you see a lot of brands hitting a bunch of different states and doing all this stuff. Like we even expanded down to LA and we're trying to do like the most there. But what we found is that by keeping everything close, you know, in Redding, you know, it allows us to really keep a close eye on everything so that everything doesn't like slip away, because over time things were slipping. We were paying this much for that office and that was going, and, you know, things just start bleeding all over the place. And you're like, let's, you know, get back and figure out what's going on. So, you know, the whole talk is about when federal legalization is going to come, how it's going to look. Are we going to be able to go to other states? Because then setting up grows in other states, investing all that money with all these partners and stuff like that, I don't know how fruitful that's going to be when we can just do the same thing here in Cali and just ship it right over to you. And we have all of our QC. We have everything lined up already, just the way it is. Yeah. So hopefully one day that's where we break into the multi-state market and even international market one day. You know, that's why we go to Cannabis. That's why I'm going to Berlin, is because you see it metastasizing. You see the culture building. And in some ways, I see the culture even better. Like I go to New York. We were just in New York for 420, right? Yep. Boom. I see the culture in New York thriving. Like, dude, why can't we do this in Cali? You know what I mean? Yeah. I love it. People just smoking on the streets, chilling, having a good time, grabbing a slice, you know? Yep. So that was just a real breath of fresh air, dealing with California and all the taxes and all the drama and the retailers not paying and everybody want the ultra low, super low discount plus some free shit thrown in on it. Like, you know, like we're trying to survive over here, dog.
I feel you.
So, you know, it's about not only surviving, but thriving, you know, keep bringing new things to the market.
Amen.
We're forever hunting. We're forever looking for new, exciting flavors. We're always on the hunt for some new sativas. We're looking at what other brands aren't doing to where we can like fit in and find like little spots for us to thrive. You know, we're working with Cold Fire. We got a bunch of sick collabs. We're starting to do more raws and Cold Fire, always the fire.
Got that gas.
Always.
Premium.
Bro. So we're working on doing some all-in-one vapes. You know, we're working on a breeding project right now. I teamed up with Symbiotic and Julian from TH Seeds.
Oh, fuck
so we're working on
man. Shout out my dog Julian.
Yeah, man. Real one, bro. The Frenchman.
I just seen him out there, man.
The Frenchman, bro.
That's my guy, bro.
So
he got hella shit, man.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm focusing on. A lot of old school stuff mixed with this new school stuff in rotation and really get some cool things to come out. So I'm really excited about that. You know, that's been a big learning process, like really going through and hunting while we're hunting certain things, selecting things. Now I finally selected some males that I'm going to be working, real males, to be working into some lines, and then selecting a male from those lines that we work to then throw into some other stuff. So like really working a progressive line, not just reversing something and hitting a bunch of cuts with it. Like I really want to do works of Ember Valley only cuts to produce a male to throw back onto other Ember Valley cuts so that we really diversify our own program inside and like bring it internally, you know?
You got a lot of irons in the fire, my friend.
A lot of irons in the fire.
You guys are going to do it, bro.
You know it.
You guys are going to fucking do it.
You know it.
Hell yeah, bro. Your whole life has been a dress rehearsal for this moment right now.
I truly believe. I truly believe that way.
All the trials and tribulations, your comeback. You feel me? Yeah, bro. I'm excited to see it. What do you know that the industry should know, or what kind of cannabis are you calling bullshit?
That you can still grow quality at scale.
Oh, let's go. That's a fucking great answer.
Yeah, like I think there's always this like.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna smoke the sour right here, just for old JP's sake.
For the culture.
Yeah, we got it, because there is real sour.
Yo, you want to roll one of these up?
Yeah, roll up the big Z, dog.
I was about to say, let me roll that big Z.
But so growing flower at scale is something different, right? Like we started off growing in garages and small warehouses and stuff like that, right? But it's still a labor of love, whereas like, you know, the plants are getting looked at every day. This is not a fully automated setup, you know? Like we're really in the rooms every day. We're like not watering in organics and stuff too. We're, doing all sorts of stuff. And, a lot of people look at it as like, oh, these guys have 1,000 lights. Like, oh, they don't care about it. It's just some big boof mega grow. And that's like, I just want to make sure like, that perception is not given of Ember Valley, that we actually do QC everything. We have so many touch points. We have so many different people involved, not just like we have a whole veg team that's separate from cultivation. We have a whole maintenance crew that's like separate. We have just HVAC techs, you know what I mean? So we do all this extra stuff to really like make sure that we get that same quality that we're, expecting. Like we don't do, like a lot of we're not using powders, we're still using liquid and stuff. We're doing like a lot of different things to differentiate us and still keep that quality at scale. Like that to me is the most important thing, is making sure that quality stays when you scale up. So
absolutely,
that in itself has been a giant learning experience, just the way that it is, So learning that scale and to keep the quality at the same time, that's like a forever issue. Because I mean, especially at this point, right? Like our facility is not a spring chicken anymore. She's 8 years old now. Our first one, right? Our first one's 8 years old, and she's been run hard. You don't take too many days off, so you need someone constantly cleaning. By the time they're done cleaning one AC, they're already moved on to the next. The next facility. So that's my main thing right there, is that, the belief that they can't grow quality at scale.
Well, I'll tell you what, I can attest to that because I got a pretty good pulse on what's smoking out there in the field. Mm-hmm. And, we were just talking on the way up the steps. I was like, yo, bro, y'all shit's been smoking, bro. I've come across a couple batches of those crunch berries, absolutely smoking. It's not even a strain I really fuck with like that, but when you get a great batch of it, I'm like, oh, this is what the hype's about. Got it.
Shout out Fire Farmer, bro. Fire Farmer's been putting in work, bro. Yeah. I remember meeting him at Spannabis too, and figuring out, working with a breeding project that he's involved in, doing some stuff with the Zowers. Crazy. Yeah, I'm working with Hall of Flame, right, working with my boy Ricky, Finest Farms, another dope, amazing grower that I've known for years and years.
Dope.
So yeah, that's
good shit, bro.
Exciting shit.
On that note, we're gonna take a little break. So we used to do the top 3 strains of all time, right? I'm sure you're familiar with that. Now it's fuck one, marry one, kill one. Okay. Right. Fuck one is the best strain you've ever smoked, the best experience you had with said strain. The married one's like the desert island, it's everyday smoke, and the kill one's like you hate those terps.
All right, married one, I already know that's OG for me. Okay, OG cool. Forever.
Cool.
Like there's some cuts that I like better than others, but I'm off the OG forever. It's tough between OG and Skittles. If I could do a combo of the two, a little salad, a 50-50, half Skittles, half OG, that's it for me. The fuck one, like the best ever, it's probably just a nostalgic thing for me, right? Like, but this P91 that we used to have back when I was in high school, bro.
What is that?
I don't know. I don't know,
bro.
It's gone and lost forever, right? Because I'm from Poway. That's the P class of 91. Anyways, these fools were growing fire, bro. I'm talking like before it was even really a thing, like crazy fire. And this shit was like, the type of shit you put in a bag and like, dude, I'm fucked, because you bring the bag in the car reeks. You bring the bag in your room, your room's fucked up. Like everyone's knowing what's around, So that's my true love. And there's some people that say that they, Riot Seeds did like an S1 version of it. But he called it like the peanut butter one. The P91 I remember was more like pine. It was on like the pine spectrum.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be my fuck. And then what's the last one?
Kill one. Something like you would just do away with this strain forever.
Man. I want to say like one that we just like cut out or something. The apple fritter, bro. I can't.
Apple fritter.
I can't. It's between apple fritter and Blue Dream or Georgia pie. One of those three, because I ended up growing so much of them and sold so much of them that I just never want to sell another pound of any of those
over
again, dude. Yeah.
No doubt. I dig it. If there was a strain you could bring back, what would it be?
Man, that bull rider was crazy. Actually, this goes into our story earlier about hunting 3,000 seeds at a time. Mm-hmm. We had this one dark rainbow from Archive. It was a GMO rainbow belt.
I hunted that one too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I found this one.
What was it like?
Funky, bro. Funky candy that like was full color, looked like GMO, finished early, literally checking all the boxes. It was the number 9 pheno. I still remember it to this day. And I'm like still looking for that one. You know what I mean?
Nice.
There's another, yeah. Damn. Shout out to the ones that get lost. It's always the good ones. Like there's another one of this like Amnesia Haze Biker Kush cross that I had from Karma. That was like this beautiful, hazy, kind of soury one that, RIP. That's some of the most exclusive flower because you're never going to get to smoke it again.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So those are two that I definitely wish that I could bring back for sure.
That's dope. You said that. Me and my mom actually hunted the dark rainbow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she hunted it in Jersey, and I had some here.
Yeah, Archive
and she got
fire.
seeds off of that one. So I don't know what it got pollinated with. I forget what else she was growing that year.
And sometimes those are the most crazy ones too. It's them bag seeds.
I found them the other day. I forgot all about them. It's crazy you said that. What's your smoking weed, growing weed, whatever have you, pet peeve? What grinds your gears?
Man, I guess like Chaz bangers for sure for all the dabbers out there.
Yeah.
I have this one homie that he is like a Chaz banger. You know what I mean? Like this fool always rolls with the dirtiest piece, just scorches it in there every time. Like that's frustrating. And then, just general joint etiquette, I'm like, I've always follow proper doinks pretty heavily. I be watching them do their whole thing. So I'm always trying to like learn different etiquette ways and stuff like that, like how to smoke, different ways to improve the way that it smokes and stuff like that. So yeah, those are like the two pet peeves.
Fire. You do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite place to smoke?
On the top of a mountain.
Nice. While you're on that top of the mountain smoking your doink, what's on the tunes, man? What you listen to?
Really now I like melodical, kind of slow, kind of like dubsteppy style music to just like go through with nature and stuff like that. If I'm doing some hiking or stuff like that, but some chill step. Otherwise, I'm listening to like if I'm, back when I was in it, I'm listening to like some Young Jeezy, really getting in it. Back in the day when I was younger in high school, Cottonmouth Kings were throwing down hard. So, I'm a music appreciator. I like everything. If it gives a good positive vibes, I like get emotions from music. Music invokes emotions in me. So, like, I'm definitely sensitive to that stuff.
No, not everybody has that. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
I've recently read that. It's about 50-50.
Really?
Humans that feel music and get really into it and real emotional. I'm like that too.
Like you get goosebumps sometimes when the song be hitting you right, or Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely I'm in tune like that.
You're one of us.
For sure, dog.
Oh yeah. That's what's up. What's your favorite stoner food?
Pizza, dog. Come on, stop playing with me.
Son.
I did one of the first times I went to the East Coast and did a little thing, I went on like a pizza tour. Okay. Right? I hit Philly, New York, New Haven, Connecticut, Boston. I was like, I'm gonna hit all these things. I went on like Dave Portnoy, one bite, everyone knows the rules. Found like his top 20 list, hit like 12 of them.
No shit. Respect.
Yeah,
Jersey? I didn't hear Jersey in there.
I never made a Jersey, dog.
You had to literally drive through Jersey to do all this.
I know, bro. I know.
If I would have known you, I would have got you right, bro.
Yeah, the pizza tour is forever ongoing, bro. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But it was cool to like just stop in New Haven, hit like 4 or 5 different pizza shops on one block. Like it's
how'd you like New Haven pizza? I haven't had it. Good.
Stop playing with me, bro.
Yeah,
thin, crispy. Like that's my favorite pizza.
That's what they're telling me. It's thin, crispy shit.
I'm sorry, I be loving New York.
Oh, you
John's
put that over
on
New
Bleecker.
York?
Oh yeah, bro.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah,
New
bro.
York.
Yeah, I need that thin crust.
Well, he hasn't been to Jersey yet. I got.
I know. Yeah, put me on,
bro. My spot, bro.
But
I'll bring you straight to DeCola's.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always down for a pizza.
You like cheesesteaks?
I'm a vegetarian.
Oh,
bro.
fuck. Okay.
Pescatarian, actually.
All right. Well, we'll skip the cheesesteak.
All right. I'm a cheese pizza. I'm on the cheese pizza.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're good. We're all good.
34 years. All I've eaten was fish.
No way, really?
Yeah,
You've been on it for a long time.
Yeah,
all right.
for sure. California, bro. My parents never forced me to eat anything I didn't like, and I didn't really like it. And
that's cool.
You know, just kind of went through it. I'm still a healthy guy, you know?
Yeah, it's all good. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So we're gonna take that munchies question a step further.
Okay.
What's your middle of the night? You're a scumbag and you know it. You're creeping through the kitchen. It's on the counter. You're eating the whole thing. Guilty pleasure.
Man, I try to not leave stuff on the counter specifically for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But like, I'm gonna go in, dog. If there's some ice cream there, that's getting just deleted. You know, whole
ice
thing.
cream guy. Okay.
Yeah. Let the ice cream be in there, dog. It's good. It's done.
So,
it ain't making it through the night. For sure. Or if I get a good chocolate chip cookie, bro, and some milk,
yeah, bro.
Forget about it.
Still kind of soft and warm and shit.
Man, I have this little bakery that's close to the house up in Reading. Shout out to the farmer's market. You know what I mean? She be baking like the best sourdough bread, and she has these special cookies that she makes with like the little extra.
Okay.
Ooh. Gas.
Fucks with it. Mm-hmm. What is your definition of success, and has that definition changed over the years?
Absolutely, yeah. Success. When I first sold a couple pounds, I thought I was successful, you know? When I grew up and had to grow and humbled, I thought I was successful. When we started this brand, I thought I was successful. I still haven't reached the level of success that I want to, you know? I'll forever be striving to be better, you know? It's just, that's the way this industry is, you know? You're always learning. You always want to be learning. You always want to be bettering yourself. So, you know, I don't think that I've reached the level of success that I'm capable of yet. And what that is something it's different for every individual, you know?
That's true.
You know, for some people it's like having a family. Some people it's financially. Some people, you know, it's an education. Like, so it's you know, success is different for everyone. So it's a tough question.
Good. No, that's a good answer. No, that was a good answer. I fucks with it. If you could smoke with two people, one that's dead, one that's still alive, who would they be?
So I thought about this probably every time I heard you say it on the podcast, and I had someone different every time. So I'm just gonna go off the rip.
That's cool, bro. What you feeling?
I think Thomas Jefferson would be the one that's dead, right? I'd go with one of the founding fathers. Like, so that's like one of the things. I studied history, so you know I really do love history. But yeah, our founding fathers, Reading is in the state of Jefferson, you know, that little piece of California and Oregon that they like say wants to secede from the state of California, because California should really be like 5 states.
Oh, that's a fact. Where I'm from, it is 5 states.
Exactly. You know, people in LA are different from people in the Bay, and people in Reading are different from people in San Diego, and people from Bakersfield are different than all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a fact, bro.
You know, the Central Valley, the coast and stuff. It's
all got their own vibe, a little type of people, little societies.
For sure.
You got microclimates, you got microcultures.
You do have microclimates, you know, bro. Microclimates everywhere. But
continue.
About the person alive that I would like to smoke with. Man, I'm doing it right now, dude. I got you, JP.
Oh man, shit, man.
Come on.
Pleasure, man.
Yeah,
Pleasure
for
to
sure,
smoke
bro.
with you, dog.
This
anytime,
this is cool.
man. Anytime you're around this way, man, pull up, we'll burn one.
For sure.
You know? Hell yeah. So now we're gonna shout out your favorite plug from back in the day, bro. Who's your favorite plug? Who took care of you?
All right.
Shout them out one time.
Yeah, for your birthday, right?
Yeah,
Plug day's your birthday,
bro.
All
Plug
right,
day.
for
Hell
sure.
Yeah.
There's 2 I'm gonna say. One, I can't say his name. It's the old man in Humboldt who put me on with the bags right away.
Shout out to bro.
Like, you know, he was telling me, hey, this is the way that you put your money. This is the way you do this. That, you know, the old school game that you get from the real OGs, like, definitely set the standard for how I, you know, acted the rest of my life. So for sure, the old man in Garberville. And then my homie Lee, who used to meet me down the street with the skateboard. I would trade him pizza. I was working in delivery pizza at the time. I would trade him pizza for a bag.
It's amazing.
And that was the best deal I would ever make, because I would be making the pizza, you know what I mean? I'll make it however he wanted. Boom, perfect. And I was like pretty good pizza maker at the time, you know?
Okay.
I'll put in a little work on the slices. So that he would be my favorite plug for sure. Just, you know, trading pizza for weed, there's nothing better than that. I love the bartering system.
That's a great story, my friend. You incorporated weed, good pizza, regular pizza, and a skateboard in the same. Yeah. That's like you from my company, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy. Hell yeah, man. Well, my friend, this has been fun. One final question before we get out of here. If you could go back to the young you the day before you jumped off the porch and jumped in the game, what advice would you tell you?
Keep grinding, bro. Keep grinding. You know, like always keep learning, always keep grinding. You know, we talked about a lot of the good parts of the story, you know, but there's a lot of tough parts too. There's a lot of L's. There's a lot of, you know, hits you just got to take on the chin. You know, you can't be a boss till you learn to take a loss. So, you know, yeah, I could have given up many, many times, and I wanted to give up many, many times, but I just kept pushing through. And,
right.
You know, I'm in the amazing position I am right now to help and affect so many different people in so many different ways. It's really a blessing.
And that's why Ember Valley is standing to this day, my friend.
Amen, bro.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming through, bro.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man. Anybody you want to shout out? How can people find you? Let the people know right here.
Man, I want to shout out all Ember Valley cultivators, anyone in the Ember Valley team, from sales to cultivation to maintenance, trimmers. Like, I love you guys all. I appreciate everything you do. Thank you so much. Ryan Muse, my brother. Zombie, thank you for everything that you do and giving us all, like, having the balls to put everything on the line and, you know, create something amazing, which we've done. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's good pizza, my friend.
That's good pizza, brother.
Goddamn right. You already know, Ember Valley, good pizza. All my Patreons, thank you for the subscriptions. Anybody that hasn't subscribed to YouTube, go ahead and give us a subscribe. Leave some comments. Let us know what you liked about the episode. We'll see y'all soon, man. Ember Valley, good pizza. Peace, love, good pizza. We up out of here.